Hey everybody, it's Dr. Winnie and I'm here with my next episode of Sunday Dinner. So last week my mom told me that she wanted to have beef short ribs, so that was the mandate. And so I'm actually here at my parents' house. You hear water in the background. My sister Angela is washing some dishes and my brother-in-law D'Artagnan is sitting right next to me. I don't know if you can see him or not. Here, let me...
I can't be seen.
There he is. And then there's my sister over there doing some work in the kitchen. Sunday dinner was going to be beef short ribs because that's what my mom really wanted. So I worked on that last night because I like to cook them in a slow cooker. And so what I did was I put some flour on them and then I seared them. I like to use flour rather than just the plain meat because when it's in the slow cooker, that helps to make a gravy. When it's all said and done, it makes the sauce a little thicker. So we braised it and then, I cooked some onions and some garlic and put some beef broth together and some thyme and rosemary, and we put it in the slow cooker and let it cook all night long, and it came out great. I actually got so many short ribs because sometimes we tend to run out until I had to use 2 different slow cookers in order to get them all cooked. So that was the main dish. But I decided I wanted to make a little special appetizer, and so I made some zucchini fries. And this is the first time I did this, but the recipe looked kind of interesting. So that involved just getting some fresh zucchini and cutting it up, and then mixing it with some olive oil and some Italian seasoning and some salt and pepper. And then when it was time to put it in the oven, I lined it up, put some fresh Parmesan cheese on top, and then let that cook in the oven for about 45 minutes. And it came out great. Then what we do is we serve that with ranch dressing. It's kind of like a little dip. And it really, really worked out pretty well. Now, in addition to the beef short ribs, I also made mashed potatoes because you got to have that. So I just used some russet potatoes, peeled them, cut them up, boiled them in water. And then once they were nice and soft, I then just whipped them with some butter and some milk and actually some cream cheese this time. And it came out really, really good, nice and smooth and buttery. So everybody really, really loved that. And then I made baked okra because my family loves baked okra. And I really like making it this way because it's got a little light crunch to it, but all the slime is gone, which is what I really, really love. So no more slime, but still that delicious flavor. And this just involved cutting it up and then putting it in a bag with some olive oil, some smoked paprika, some salt and pepper. And I actually did that last night and let it marinate so that I was able to put it in the oven today and cook it. It took about 40 minutes, but it came out nice and crunchy and great, and everybody loved that. So that was pretty much what the main courses for the dinner was tonight. Then for dessert, I decided to make a raspberry pie. I made one of these right around Christmas time, and it was good, and I wanted to do it again. For one thing, I was running out of time, and this is a really quick thing to make. Just get fresh raspberries and mix it with a little tapioca, which is kind of a starchy flour to help thicken it up, lots of sugar, some cinnamon and butter, and then put it in a preformed what I did was I had a cake pan and I bought the dough for the topping in the bottom, and I just went ahead and just used that. Sometimes I make my own, but I was in a hurry today, so I just went ahead and used one that was already made. The Pillsbury type, the dough. It's already made and it's so easy to use. And then I threw it in the oven, put some butter on top, and it came out absolutely great. So that was our dinner, and I think I have a picture that you could probably see of what it all looked like when it was plated up. And it came out great, and everybody had a really, really good time, and that's what's the most important. So let me take off my chef hat for a moment. I'm going to put on my doctor hat for just a minute, and I want to talk about diabetes. Everybody knows somebody who has type 2 diabetes if you don't have it yourself. There's 2 major types of diabetes. There's actually a third, but we won't get into that. Type 1 is when you are missing insulin. Your cells in your pancreas do not actually make insulin, and so, or at least not enough. And so you're not able to manage your sugar very well because insulin is the hormone that actually helps your sugar go into your cells where it can be used for energy. And so if there's a problem where you don't have enough insulin, you're not able to handle your glucose, your sugar very well. And so those levels tend to go very high, and that's what makes you very sick. The remedy for that is really insulin replacement. These are people that for the rest of their lives, for the most part, are going to need to be on insulin shots. Now, often this is diagnosed pretty early in life because, you can't go too far without being able to manage your insulin. So as a child, you'll see this. And I remember when I was working in the emergency room, children being brought in who were very sick. And when we tested their glucose level, it was sky high. And we knew that that's what's going on. Now, the more common type that most people talk about is type 2 diabetes. And this is the type where you have insulin, but it doesn't work very well. So what that means is that you eat a meal that's got lots of sugar. Ordinarily, your body secretes insulin, and that insulin then helps to grab that glucose that you've just eaten and push it into the cells where it can be used for energy. If there's a problem where that insulin doesn't work very well, that's when you develop all the signs as if you had type 1 diabetes, where your blood sugar just keeps getting higher and higher. And the body is really not designed for that. Our glucose level should be somewhere between about 65 and 95. And when it gets higher than that, that's when things start to go awry and all of the horrible things associated with diabetes start to kick in. Now, what we're starting to realize now is that there's something going on with the insulin that may be tied to our lifestyle. In other words, if you have a lifestyle where you're very, very unhealthy, you're very inflamed, you're eating lots of processed foods, you're creating an environment inside of you that helps to make that insulin not work. And so rather than all of these drugs that we've been using forever and ever for diabetes, a lot of wellness doctors and researchers are suggesting that maybe what we need to do is look at your lifestyle and get you in a place where you are healthier. And this will help your body then start to work better. Now, this is not something that you want to take on all by yourself. You want to work with a nutritionist. You want to work with a wellness doctor to really change your life, change the way you feed yourself. Make sure you're getting enough rest, that you're taking supplements that are designed to be helpful. Ginger, garlic, turmeric, omega-3s, getting plenty of rest, making sure you're drinking adequate water, and that you are supplementing your diet with necessary vitamins. All of these things can create a healthy environment inside of you that can very well make it such that you don't even need those medications down the road, because now your insulin is starting to work. Because like I said, with type 2 diabetes, you have insulin. It's just not working very well. And the conventional medicines that we're using now, and you've heard of them all, metformin, glyburide, all of they're trying to do is to make that insulin work. But what we'd like to see you do is to change the way you live so that your insulin can heal itself and start to work better. And therefore, all of the horrible things that we associate with a person who is a diabetic start to fail. Because remember, if your insulin isn't working, that means that sugar is not going into your cells where it needs it for normal metabolism. So what does that mean for those cells? That means they're starving. That means that you are literally killing your cells on the inside of your body because they can't get the fuel. They can't get the gasoline that they need in order to function. And that's where all of these problems come in that we see with people who are diabetic, whether it's kidney failure, problems with your eyes. All of these things are tied to cellular metabolism not working. And this is directly tied to insulin not working. So we want to fix the insulin, and then a lot of the problems that people experience when it comes to their overall health really starts to improve. I did a show on my show, Winnie Living Life Together on Fox Soul, with Dr. Codwell, where we talked about diabetes, and we talked about the problem that a lot of diabetics experience with having to have amputations, toes and feet and legs, and that's all tied to poorly controlled diabetes. Again, those cells are not getting the sugar, the glucose, the energy that they need, and so it's not surprising that they end up having problems with poor circulation and difficulty with feeling in your extremities. You end up needing to have an amputation because you injured your foot because you didn't realize you'd stepped on a piece of glass or a nail, and now it's infected and it's not healing very well. So it's sort of a cascade of things that go on and on and on with diabetes, but at the root of it is taking very good care of yourself, reducing inflammation, and living a healthy lifestyle. So I'm not telling you to stop taking your medications, but I am suggesting that you may want to ask your doctor about going to a nutritionist and looking at your lifestyle, getting in with a wellness doctor to help you really fix your life rather than waiting on medications to do it for you, because trust me, they won't. Okay, I'm going to take my doctor hat off, and I'm going to wish all of you all a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. I hope all is well with you. You guys, please be safe. And if you are a diabetic and you have not been taking your medication because you want to do things natural, please, let's do it naturally, but let's do it under the cover of a physician who can really monitor you and make sure that you're okay. All right? Take care of yourself, you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.